a good one home. If we got All right, guys, welcome to the live well here this Tuesday night at Fish North Georgia. Maybe if I get my microphone in front of me, let's try that again. It's been fun here the last 5 minutes. Anyway, guys, glad you could join us tonight. Got a great show in store for you guys. We got Tim Dube from the Bassmaster Elite series that's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking whatever it is you want to talk about with him. You guys can have all the questions you want for him, but we're going to try to get into summertime patterns. Of course, I've got Mr. Clint Bartlett, the beautiful one right here beside me.
It has been hotter than a hoochie coochie out here.
Hotter than a hoochie coochie out there. All right. And then, of course, I'm just going to call you Floating Fly.
Okay.
Mark Madden's here tonight. He's right over here. He came up here. We're just throwing him on tonight. So he's got some questions and comments. He's going to throw them out there. And, of course, we got the great one, the bearded wonder back there, Alex Purrs, the Wolfman himself. And, guys, we're on TikTok tonight. So if you guys are watching on TikTok and you got questions or comments, that's the way this show works. For Tim or any of us, you guys throw it out there and we will answer your questions as best we can. So we appreciate you joining us tonight. So let's go ahead and take care of business first. And, of course, hey, listen, Groove Tackle. You see I got the hat on. I got the stuff right here, too. Listen, this is a line of tackle boxes that are coming back out. They've been around. They've got new ownership. We're going to be promoting them big and heavy. I said that right this time. Here at Fish North Georgia, you're going to learn a lot about them in the near future. And so we appreciate them. You can check them out at groovefishing.com or follow them on Facebook. And, of course, our buddy, Sonar Pros, Trent Palmer and the gang, the official installer of the Sonar installer of the live well. Put the shirt on me. I just want to show my shirt off. Take that thing down for a second.
The mouse
sucks tonight. I know. Look at this.
Look at that fresh new apparel.
Fresh apparel.
It might be dropping on the website soon, so keep an eye out.
I love it. All right, you can pull them back up there. So, guys off Highway 369, check them out, 770-530-4505, where the pros go to take their boat. So, if you want it done right, take it to Sonar Pros. We've got a new sponsor joining the Live Well family, the Atlanta Safe House. Guys, it's in Ackworth, Georgia. For over 31 years, they've offered Georgia's largest selection of home safes, gun safes, commercial safes, and storm shelters. You can check them out on Facebook. You can go to atlantasafehouse.com or give them a call, 678-398-9021. And I'm looking forward to this relationship as we grow, and we're going to be able to tell you more about it because we all got safes. We got guns. We need to have a good safe to put them in. Or if you're like Kevin Thornton's wife, she's got her own safe for her purses. Did you know that?
That's legit. That's protecting your investment.
She's got some high dollar purses. So she's got her own safe right there. So appreciate them joining the family, and I look forward to telling you more about them. And, of course, Kevin with Lipsticker Fishing, 678-459-8419. Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com. Check out his live Patreon, patreon.com/lipstickerfishing. He's going to be live tomorrow. Alex, you still a part of that?
No, I'm not.
You're not? You love it? You already learned as much as you can from him?
No, it got a little expensive for me. I had to focus stuff elsewhere.
I got you. Hey, it doesn't matter. You checked it out, though. Is it worth it?
Oh, 100%.
100% worth it.
100% worth it.
So check him out right there, or go book a trip with him. And then we got the best rod sleeve on the market. That's Evolve Fishing. You can check them out at evolvefishing.com. They got all the great safety features that we always tell you about. They float. And the best thing about it is you can just slam them jokers in your rod locker. And if you got crankbaits or whatever and they get hooked, they pop right out. So definitely the best on the market. And with all the expensive lures we're throwing, the Money Saver Lure Retriever, you got to have the best plug knocker on the market. And that is definitely the Money Saver Lure Retriever. You can check them out here at Fish North Georgia. Little tiny torpedoes designed right to get your bait loose every time. I say every time. He told me not to say every time. Every time. We're gonna 100% guarantee it, or Mark will give you your money back. Sound good?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, there you go. If you're on Lake Allatoona and you want to fish with a legend, Bill Payne's Guide Service, 706-280-2305. Spotted bass, largemouth bass on Lake Allatoona. He does seasonal smallmouth trips. He does electronic trips as well. So if you want to get your sonar set up just right, Bill Payne, one of the nicest guys you have ever met in your life, book a trip with him. Get it done. You're not going to regret it. Now, if you're on Lake Lanier and you want to go with a young gun, Brooks Anderson Fishing, check out his YouTube, Brooks Anderson Fishing. Go to his website, brooksandersonfishing.com. Lake Lanier spotted bass, teaching you all about why they're there, how to target them. If you've got a younger angler, hey, he is absolutely fantastic getting their career started, whether it's high school or college. Just a super nice kid, and he can fish.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. Flat out can fish. And then we got our buddies, Fishers of Hope.
Nope.
Oh, we're doing Rob. My bad. I got y'all messed up today. Big League Charters out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Rob Robleski of the MPFL, 239-877-6479. Teleco, Fort Loudon, Watts Bar, Chickamauga. If you're in the Tennessee area or you want to go to the Tennessee area and you want to watch and learn from a pro, Rob Robleski is a guy for you. I've fished with him. I absolutely have a great time every time I get to be fortunate enough to get on the boat with him. And then now we got Fishers of Hope. Guys, their mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, to bring those in need to peace and hope that only he can bring. They do bass tournaments for people with situations, and they got one coming up, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. If you guys heard, on several of the lakes here over the July 4th weekend, had a couple of boat explosions. One of those actually happened right in front of Tony Watkins, who runs this, in his house. And he has some EMT experience, actually got out there and helped them and all that. They're throwing a tournament. Go to Facebook, and they have all the details. If you want to reach out to them, Fishers of Hope Ministry at gmail.com. It's on Lake Chattooga. Wow. No.
Lanier?
Where's Poteet? That's Notley.
That's Notley.
They're going to throw it on Notley. Hey, you got a chance at some big largemouth if you get up there. And then, what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Why are you laughing?
Nothing.
You going to tell me after the show?
Yeah, we can talk. I mean, we can talk about it after the show, but we just don't want to talk about where,
Okay. I got you. We'll
Okay.
do that. And, of course, our buddies behind us, Turner Tires, 706-253-3339. If you're in the Jasper, Georgia area and you need new tires, alignment, whatever it is, great family-owned business. Brock and the guys over there, they're fishermen, outdoorsmen, just like us. You definitely want to check them out.
They're good. I got another tire on the way because my spare tire shredded on the way home.
Yeah,
from
man, you're going through tires like crazy. And guys,
keeping them in business, trying to support.
That's it. Support local. And then, guys, if you got a business and you want to put it in front of some most loyal followers out there, the people that watch the live well, they actually listen to us. And we do not put anybody on this show that we would not use ourselves. So if you got that kind of business, reach out to me and we'll figure out a way that we can promote you to them to help your business grow. So with that, let's bring Tim in. Tim Dube, Bassmaster Elite. Looking for this. All you guys in the comment section are there. Excellence in mediocrity. Yeah, that's right. We are slowly descending into mediocrity here. Did you see that today on the lunch break?
I did not actually see it today.
Yeah,
I saw it. Yeah,
somebody in the comments.
I still swear that was AI. I don't
think it was AI.
Yeah.
They said this video sucks, and then it was a slow descent into mediocrity or something like that. So I took it as a compliment right there. So anyway, Tony Watkins says they're taking pre-registration for the tournament now. Boat number by sign-in. So you guys reach out to them on Facebook, or I had Tony's number. Maybe I'll find it and I'll give it to you guys later on. So anyway, Clint, I want you to start the conversation because Tim is a buddy with you.
Yeah,
and we'll get it going.
Well, we're buddies now.
Yeah, we're buddies.
I'm just kidding.
I know. Dude, thanks for coming on this podcast. It means a lot. I appreciate you taking some time out from catching some not so small fish up north right now. We're all a little jealous. So just like tell us a little bit about, so now you're on the biggest stage in bass fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series. I want to know, like, what was the first bite that got you hooked back in the day? Like, were you on a Snoopy rod in a trout farm? Like, where did it all start? Where was that first bite for you?
I mean, I remember fishing since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. We always rented a lake house for a week in the summertime, and I would be on the dock the entire time we were there. It started with bluegills, and then I caught a bass once, and I was like, well, that is fun. And very competitive, played a whole bunch of sports growing up, and then I found out that there's tournaments and that you can compete for money, and I was like, well, this is fun. And got my teeth kicked in a lot when I first started, and slowly climbed up the ranks a little bit in the state and started fishing some more regional stuff and wound up on the Elite Series.
Well, that's a pretty short answer. Get into some more nitty gritty action. So, like, talk me through that, like, first couple tournaments, getting your teeth kicked in. Like, what was your learning process like going through, like, getting your teeth kicked in? Like, were you showing up and still fishing the same stuff and still getting beat, or like, how were you learning and adapting to where going from the bottom and not winning those tournaments to actually competing like regionally?
I mean, that took a lot of years. And there was a lot of trials and tribulations that happened in that time frame. And it was really just time on the water. And that's always what I've always said is the biggest thing. The more time you spend on the water, the more you see fish behavior, and then you can kind of relate to, well, they were doing this on this lake last week. Let's see if they're doing it on this lake this week. And then I would go out with anyone that would take me, especially when I was younger, jump in anyone's boat I could and see what I could learn that day. I always tried to learn something every single time I went out, and that's still something I try and do. Every time I hit the water, I try and learn something while I'm out there. And I feel like if I learn something, it's a productive day out there.
Cool.
I like that answer. Guys, if you're watching on TikTok, we haven't got the technology yet to do the split screen where you can see Tim Dube. But if you got a question for him, put it in the comment section. We'll make sure we ask him. Whatever it is you guys want to know, we'll figure it out. So sorry about that. Keep going there, Clint.
Good. So what was like one of your staple techniques back in the day that you still use today on the Elites? What's your confidence baits?
Well, I mean, confidence baits all depends on what kind of region you're in. So right now I'm on Lake Ontario right now, just having fun a little bit while we have a break in between tournaments. And if I'm on Ontario, I will always have a drop shot and I'll always have a Ned rig, 2 rods that will forever be on the deck of my boat anytime I'm out on this body of water. And then on Ned rig also, because that just catches them. Those 2 techniques catch them everywhere, all around the country, largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. So they're really versatile and definitely 2 things that pretty much live on the deck of my boat.
So we would quantify him more as a finesse guy than a power fisherman. Is that fair to say?
But
when you're around smallmouth, you have to be.
My favorite way to catch him, though, is throwing a frog and flipping. Like, give me a milfoil, Matt, and I'm all about it.
You definitely put the MILF in milfoil.
We got a question from Ryan Engel on TikTok. Does anyone know any good guides for kiwi?
For kiwi?
Don't you fish kiwi a little bit?
I don't guide there. God, no.
No, I didn't see you guide
but I know Brooks has done a couple trips up there.
Okay. Check out Brooks Anderson.
Hit him up. Who else would go out on Kiwi? I'm trying to think of like who's actually local to up there. I mean, Tyler Campbell probably. That's another one to check out. I know he guides on Hartwell a lot. I'm sure he got on Kiwi sometimes too. So I'd say check out Brooks Anderson or Tyler Campbell.
Okay,
does Cass fish up there? That's not too far from his house.
That's pretty
far from Cass. Hey, I got a question for you, Tim.
What's going on?
I want to know what life is like on the Bassmaster Elite Tour, because we've had several guys on, and it seems like it's different for everybody on there. Was this something you always dreamed of doing? And now that you're there, has like the realization kind of set in that like maybe it's not as glorious as everybody thought? It's a lot of damn work.
It is the most work I've ever done, but it can also be the most rewarding. And I haven't even really won anything. I think my best finish was like 18th, and I was, walking on clouds. Yeah,
Wow.
walking on clouds after that. But fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series, you are a full-time truck driver and then a part-time fisherman.
Right. Yeah.
You
That
have
makes
to
sense.
love the drive and just. I bought a new truck this year, and I have 33,000 on it already, and we still have 2 events left.
So you travel with an interesting bunch. Let's hear about that. How that came about.
So I have 3 roommates. There's 4 of us. Will Davis Jr., Mark Menendez, and Bernie Schultz. So last year, when I qualified to make the Elite Series, I only knew one singular Elite Series pro, and that was Will Davis Jr. So I messaged him, and I was like, hey, can I crash with you guys? He's like, well, I room with Mark. Let me ask him. And Mark, of course, being Mark, oh, come on with it, And so it was the 3 of us all of last year, and we had fun. Hey, we had fun at every event. Even if you have a bad event, it was always still a good, fun mood in the house. And then this year at Okachobee, Bernie Schultz joined us because he lost his roommate because of how tough it is to stay on the Elite Series. He lost his roommate, so he joined us. And as Mark said, it's now he had to even out the playing field, 2 younger guys and then 2 old guys. And it's been a lot of fun with the 4 of us out there, just traveling and BSing and catching some bass here and there.
Okay, we always ask this question when we talk about roommates on the professional tours. Number one, how much competition is between you 4? Because we know that, and how much information is shared. Like if you're on a bite, do you let it out there, or do you kind of like just give them just enough?
I keep my info circle really small because I hate dock talk. I feel like dock talk will spin you out, especially if you're not catching them, because it'll make you try and do something else. But throughout the house, if we figure out something like, oh, they're biting a swim jig in bushes, and there has to be a steep bank near it, that will be shared. But like if you have a singular spot, that probably won't be shared. And then we have bets every single tournament within the house, and along with whoever does the best buys dinner. So Will Davis has been buying a lot of dinner this year.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. Who does the cooking? Who snores? And just all those good details that we want to know. What goes on behind the scene that we don't get to see, in the normal, course of things.
So Mark does not cook. We don't trust him with a sharp knife.
Okay. All right.
Will and I are usually the cooks, and then Bernie is on point with the side dishes. If it's a side salad or mashed potatoes or something like that, Uncle Bernie crushes it with the sides.
Nice.
You got to have good sides.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
You got to have it. That's like I am a casserole connoisseur. It can have the best meat and all that, but I'm all about the casseroles and the side dishes right there. So that's good. Yeah. Jeremy Conkright, who's out of Kentucky, wants to know, he had a comment. The cost of being an elite guy is crazy. Tell everybody, kind of just give them a broad scope of how much it actually costs to be a Bassmaster Elite.
Typically, I spend this year will be a little more because of more travel. You're in the $80,000 to $110,000 a year.
Wow.
And you're putting I live in New Hampshire, so I'm not near any event. I don't go home very often. During the season, I usually stay at friends' places scattered throughout the country. But last year I spent $19,000 on gasoline, just in the gas.
Good night.
It's insane.
It is insane. Darian Moss wants to know, what's your favorite drop shot bait?
I mean, that's going to be very situational. If I'm fishing around brush piles, spotted bass, largemouth, it's going to be the Strike King, either the 5-inch or the 6-inch filler worm. And then if I'm going to be smallmouth fishing, I love a baby Z2.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. So right now where you're at, I know there's certain things. Clint told me there's certain things we can't talk about.
I just said
So
we
you
can't
go
talk
with-
about St. Clair and we can't talk about Mississippi.
Yeah,
Other than that,
other than those two, it's wide open. So I'm on Ontario
Exactly.
right now, Lake
You're
Ontario.
on You mentioned before the show, and you guys listen, he's in Ontario, there are bass still on bed.
There's actually
Crazy.
bass still pre-spawn. I found some pre-spawn groups today.
that's wild.
Okay, well, speak of that. So if you're in one neck of the country and they're in pre-spawn and you've had to fish all over, you start in the south and you guys have been a little bit, everywhere. Kind of walk us through your mindset as far as being able to switch up tactics, knowing the fish here are doing something, the fish here should be doing this. Now I'm in Ontario, the fish are pre-spawn, spawning. How does that go through your mind as far as like preparing?
I mean, the water temperature is always going to be one of the biggest things. Water temperature and then the moon phase. Are we going into a full moon? Because anytime there's a full moon, fish will go shallow, especially up north, especially smallmouth fisheries. I don't have enough experience to talk about, say, spotted bass fisheries, other than I love them and they act just like smallmouth. But
Yep.
I always look at the water temperature, especially like right now it's July, but the water temperature in Lake Ontario is 67 degrees. And that's
Is that about average for this time of year up there, or is that higher or lower than normal?
So that's a little lower than normal. But that being said, we're going into a full moon, and we had a really cold and wet spring, just like most of the country did. And now it's finally starting. We had 3 days in a row in high 80s, which is kind of unheard of for upstate New York. And really warm water or warm sun hitting the water, really warming it up quickly. But those fish still that live in 30 feet of water, it takes a long time with a lot of water to heat that water up to get them to push shallow. And to break down, say, this body of water, I started deep today, seeing if there are post-spawners, the fish that spawned right away, and I saw nothing deep, and I just progressively went shallower.
Okay. Jeremy Conkrite wants to know what you think about the Sabine River.
Pave it.
I kind of figured that's where it was going.
It was the town was great. The people were super nice. Everything about it was great outside of the bass fishing.
Yeah, that was one of the tougher ones that we've seen in a while as far as tournaments go.
That just it seems like a grinder in general. Like,
yeah,
it just and it's hard going into talk about going into it versus coming out of it. Like how do you prepare yourself for when you know it's going to be a dink fest grinder like it was?
I mean, mentally, I'm saying I need to make every bite count, which is true on most bodies of water outside. If you're catching a lot of fish, every bite does count, but it counts less. Where the Sabine, I got one keeper bite the first day. And throughout practice, sun up to sundown, practice long days out there, I was only catching 4 or 5 fish, and I never figured it out. Still to this day, haven't figured it out. It would make a great parking lot for an airport. It would be perfect for that.
I understand that. Read him that question for Jeremiah Giles there, Clint.
Yeah. So as a pro angler, how do you quickly locate fish somewhere you've never fished before? So like when you're coming up on a new lake, like how do you approach breaking down that water as fast as possible? Like you only get 3 days to practice on a place. Like, are you picking different sections? I'm sure it depends on the fishery, but like, let's just say somewhere in the South or a TVA or somewhere you're not fishing. I'm just trying to think of something different. Like if you're going to go break down a new body of water, like what are some key things that you go after to break it down as efficiently as possible?
So a lot of the homework happens before I even hit the water. I'm scouring the internet, looking up tournament results, looking up any YouTube video that's out there, any forum about the lake, and I'm going to try and find in the, we'll call it the research period, the best places with the highest population of bass. And then say on a big body of water, we have 3 days of practice. I'll take 3 sections and I'll fish each section one day and hitting the highest percentage areas. If we're on, say, Lake Hartwell, I gravitate towards a dam with the cleaner water because that's just my comfort zone. And that's the biggest thing is you have to fish to your strengths. It doesn't matter what body of water you're on. You have to fish how you know how to fish and what you're good at.
Okay. Do you remember Tim Leopard?
Yes.
He's in the comment section. He said, I marshaled with Dube on Hartwell. I had a great time. He is an awesome dude.
Yeah. We had a good day.
That's pretty cool.
We had fun.
That's pretty cool.
So I got a quick question going back to what you said about sharing info with your roommates. You brought up a good point where you would gravitate to the clearer water down by the dam of the lake. So information you may get from a roommate may not even fit your style of fishing. If you've got a shallow, dirty water guy, that doesn't really help you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of that dock talk where Mark Menendez, this is a prime example. Mark Menendez on 10 Killer said, hey, I just got 5 bites or 10 bites on one stretch throwing a swim jig in bushes. So I left where I was and went right to the nearest bank and started throwing a swim jig in bushes, and I fished a mile without a bite. And I said, Mark, you can have it. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. Let's see.
So let's talk about like your research process on breaking down a place. Like let's say we're going to the TVA, like a Gunnersville or something like that. You got grass, you got a lot of history, you got pressured fish, like generally some areas and stuff, but like how do you actually, your boat hits the water, you've done the research, where are you going? Like what are you looking for?
I mean that all depends on what time of year is it June and they're pushing out on the ledges, and if I'm looking for that, then I'm sitting in my driver's seat and I'm side scanning 90% of practice. I'm just looking for schools of fish offshore and maybe poking my head at a couple of those mats just because that's my favorite way to catch a bass ever. So I'm going to fish towards my strengths. But I would it would all be off of information that you can gather online pretty much. And then pre-practice, I'm not good enough to compete with these guys with 3 days of practice. So I go a month ahead of time before the off limits, and I like to spend a week. And if for nothing else, I see the body of water and I understand how to get around, because being from New Hampshire, we have very clear spring-fed, glacier-fed lakes. And I never had to deal with, say, a standing timber of Lake Fork or Toledo Bend. And it's pretty nerve-wracking your first time. It's intimidating going out there and seeing all the standing timber, and you're like, oh, I have to be on this one singular line. So I typically go out for a week ahead of time and try and just see areas, see if it's springtime, I'm looking for spawning pockets. If it's going to be a post-spawn tournament, I'm still going to look for spawning pockets because they're going to be on the outside of those, transitioning into their summertime patterns.
Okay.
I like it.
Jim Wright wants to know, how do you fish deep water lakes that don't have ledges but have plenty of bluff walls?
I mean, if with forward facing, I love throwing the glide bait up against the bluff walls because of the drawing power of that glide, especially if the water's a little clean. A fish will come from 20, 30, 40, 50 feet away, depending on how big your glide is, it'll draw in to come look at it, and then you can capitalize on those. If not, more bluff walls, I like shaking a minnow down them, as everyone does nowadays, and it's a good way to catch fish.
Absolutely.
And that's an old school technique on bluff walls too. Like before forward facing, we were tight lining on bluff walls all the time on Tennessee River, East Tennessee, Western North Carolina. Like that's always been like a big technique. So I mean, that's a great. What kind of glides are you throwing? Like what are some of your glides? What if you're going to hit a deep bluff wall in the summertime tomorrow? What are some glides you got tied on and rigged up?
Spotted bass or largemouth?
Both.
Yeah, both. Hell, we want it all, man.
I like a paperweight, the 6 or 7 inch by Fish Everything Fish Everything paperweight. And then a clutch boss. If there's big fish in the fishery, a clutch boss will make them bite. And
that's a cool bait.
The clutch ball.
It has so much drawing power. It's such a big bait that they're curious and they haven't seen something that big before, and you'll be surprised on a 9-inch 3-ounce bait, you'll still catch a 2-pounder on it.
Oh yeah. But don't put that video on Instagram, and you'll get that guy saying this video sucks.
Yeah.
We had a local that was talking about glide baits, and we just put out a little section of the podcast where he was talking about the biggest bass he caught on that $400 lure was 2 pounds. And he talked about a 15-inch bass that he caught on that 9-inch lure. And apparently the guy watching was not impressed with that. So, it happens. So let me ask you this, though. If you got a big glide like that and they show, but they don't hit the glide, what's your follow-up bait?
It depends. If they're ultra suspended, like I'm fishing down a bluff wall and I'm in 40 feet of water, it's probably going to be a minnow or a wacky rig ocho, something along that, stick bait. And if I'm fishing, say, 10 to 15 feet, and they come out, and they'll always come out and look at it, and then they'll turn down away from it. And if they turn down away from it, I'm throwing a Nico or a drop shot at them.
Okay, I like that. So the beautiful one, Mr. Emil Wagner, has made his presence known to us. He don't come on the show no more now that he's a Bassmaster Elite because he's too busy. Just saying that, Emil, while you're watching, just remember who loved you before everybody loved you. That was us. That was us. You and Paul Marks Jr. For some daggum reason, I can't get you guys back up here. I'm just saying, Emil. But anyway, it's pretty cool.
You have to download Fortnite Mobile, and then they'll play with you.
Yeah, I know it, right? I know it for sure. Being sponsored by Strike King, have you thrown the Strike King glide that's coming out yet?
I have not.
Well, let me ask you this. How much of the new baits do you get to play with, like before they come out at ICAST and things like that?
A good amount. We get a lot of sample packs and try this out and don't show this, but try it and stuff like that.
Okay.
We get a couple packs of pretty much everything that's coming out before it actually comes out.
Okay, look at Emil. I'll come on whenever. Emil, you're never in the state of Georgia anymore to come on. So like that. After ICAST, Emil, we're going to get you back on here. Jeremy Conkright says, I've caught 10 inches on a 7-inch glide. It happens. It happens, which is insane to think about. And then Jeremiah Giles wants to know, pull that question up there for me. What's the secret to the jig and minnow? A lot of these baits don't roll well.
You always have to, in my opinion, you have to tie a loop knot. That will make it roll better. And then the other thing is the head you're using with your minnow. Not all heads are created equal when it comes to a jig head minnow. And I like to mix and match certain heads with certain baits. And that's just trials and tribulations on the water of trying a bunch of different stuff and seeing what works for you.
Throw us one you like. You don't have to give out juice, but give us somewhere to go.
Oh no, hell yeah, he does.
With a jig head or with the minnow?
With a jig head and a minnow. Throw us out something we can go buy off the shelf right now.
I mean, well, off the shelf right now, you can't find a Sakamata in the entire world.
No doubt.
Sockmars are good. They work, but they tear. So they're kind of a pain because they're one fish baits. But I mean, I keep it simple. I'm going with a Z2, but I like an owner range rover head, and they built I'm not sponsored by them, but they built the weight above the eyelet, so it has a better action. It rolls better, and then I'll just throw some scent in the pack before I go out for the day. Really juice it up.
I like it. What kind of stank you throwing in there? You just
Depends what kind of mood I'm in. You know what I mean?
Some blueberry or some leftover chicken
mood, on
wings?
the kind of stank he's got. And he just said not all head is created equal. Ain't that what he said? I believe that's what I heard. So
this show's going sideways quick. I like
it. It goes sideways every time we get on. Hey, listen, you said it. I didn't. But yeah,
but
okay.
You went
but
there with it.
Yeah. Listen. Do not give me an entry. I'm going with it right there. So it's just the way we roll down here. But what scents do you use, out of curiosity? Just give us some suggestions.
I mean, it's called Die Safe. I don't even think it's available yet. And it's like a licorice scent. And then I'll also use smelly jelly and like the pink, horrible smelling stuff. I'll throw bait fuel in some of them. I mean, I lather it all the way around.
So what do you think with the scent? Do you think it's something that actually helps attract them? It's just they hold on to it longer once they bite it.
I think it's more of making a plastic not smell like a plastic and maybe not smell like my hands when I throw it on there. I don't necessarily think it makes them hold on longer, but it may get another bite or two throughout the course of a day where a fish comes up and rolls behind it and then smells the scent and bites it. But at the same time, I've had so many fish roll up and then just roll back down. Forward facing doesn't make them bite, which is sometimes the most frustrating thing in the world. But I just do it because as a fisherman, most of it is right between your ears and it's in my head.
Yeah, I got you. So Emil says, please stay off my holes the next few events. Seen you way too much this season.
Yeah, except last time I saw Emil, he had a 9-pounder. So
was that the one Emil goes, it's a 10-pounder? Remember when he was screaming that one like that? It's a 10-pounder right there. So cranking and yanking. We are talking summertime patterns with some live scope here and there. So you'll just have to roll with us on that. Cranking and yanking is our he is our anti-live scope viewer.
Yeah.
And I get it. The range roller head is legit, Coleman Jones said.
Yeah.
Like that. I got a question about bait fuel. Do you really like it? Because that is the slickest shit on the market that I have ever put in my hands. I'm being very serious. Like if you put that stuff in your worms, you can't even hold them to put them on a shaky head or anything the next day.
You got to grab a towel.
Yeah, you do.
Is it like fishing with eels for striper up there in New Hampshire?
It kind of. They're. I think eels are more slippery. Yeah. But yeah,
eels are more slippery than bait fuel.
100%. They have when you hold one, the slime just comes off.
Oh God, I can't stand it. Every time I go up there striper fishing and the boys are using eels, it's just like I don't know. It ain't my thing. I'd rather catch a big stripe on a glide or a topwater instead of having to deal with eels. And you can catch the giants on an eel. Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything humanly possible to be more slick than bait fuel. Okay, so eels. Yeah. All right, we got it right there.
Oh, yeah.
I hate bait fuel, but scent absolutely makes a difference a lot of times, Jeremiah Guy says. And then Fred Ashcraft says, Fred, are you drinking?
It's a like KY jelly.
Well, the A and the S are right next to each other.
Yeah.
It's like KY jelly. Yeah. Bait fuel's like KY jelly. I told you it belongs in daggum adult bookstores. That's the only good use for bait fuel. Is
it is a fish attractor though. So
it just depends on what kind of fish you're attracting, I guess. I don't know.
Some with some smelly jelly between their legs, I reckon.
Some smelly jelly. Like that. Let me ask you, what's your favorite place so far on the Bassmaster Elite Tour that you have fished?
So I mean, Champlain, Lake Ontario are very high on the list, but being in New Hampshire, I'm 3 hours from Champlain. I'm 5 hours from Ontario, so I don't really qualify those as like my favorite places to fish because I fished them so much prior. I'd have to say Toledo Bend. I love Toledo Bend or Lake Hartwell.
They said Hartwell.
Yeah.
Hartwell.
So tell us about what happened on Lake Hartwell for you, not this year, not last year, but 2023.
Yeah, I was done with bass fishing. I was giving it up. I was going to go be a saltwater guy, and I fished the Bass Nation, and I qualified through New Hampshire to go to the regional event that was on the Potomac River, a place that I said I would never go back to again, and I went back, and just kind of went in there and had fun, and ended up qualifying for the national championship, which was on Hartwell, and I did zero research, didn't care, showed up a day late, and ended up finishing second to Will Davis Jr., which qualified me for the Elite Series, and lit a fire under me to get back in the bass game a little bit.
Ain't that something? He said he's getting ready to quit,
Yep.
give it all up, and then just go have fun fishing, and he qualified for the Elites.
They say the highest highs come after the lowest lows.
Well, that's some Confucius stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
some,
good stuff.
That's some straight Brandon Polnick stuff right
Is that
there.
Brandon
Let's be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Old Master Yoda.
So let me ask you this. Since you're on all these great smallmouth lakes up there, do you guys up north really get irritated when all these southern boys about this time of year make the trek up there to try to catch all these smallmouths? Because everybody I know down here, for a couple of weeks, it seems like every year, it's nothing but pictures of these big, giant smallmouth. We all make the trek up there. Well, I don't. I can't. I own a tackle shop. I don't get to fish. But in all seriousness, do you look forward to coming south as much as the guys here look forward to going north?
I like going south in January and February when it's 8 degrees outside, but in Florida it's 70. Like, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I also realized the last couple years I could never live in the South based on the bugs, spiders, snakes, all that stuff. You guys can have it. I know why I live where the wind hurts my face in the wintertime.
You get used to it. It gets a little muggy down here and all that. So what is it about, though, when you go to Florida? We hear guys talk about Florida. It's its own different fishery and all that. Is there a particular technique that you use when you go down to Florida, like in your mind, being from up north, that you know is going to work down here, like your strengths?
Florida is like stick bait heaven. Any kind of Senko you want, anything like that, that is always going to be out there. It's always going to be a player. I said Florida, but I like fishing Florida, but only sometimes. I love fishing in Texas. Just because Florida bass are kind of moody, to say the least.
And it seems like every time y'all go, the fishing is great until it's time for the actual tournament.
Oh, we bring a cold front everywhere we go.
Every single time.
They
It
do,
doesn't matter if
actually.
you hit Florida in April or if you hit it in February, you hit a cold front. It's crazy.
So you guys on TikTok and, of course, in the comment sections, we got Tim Dube, Bassmaster Elite on. So if you got some questions, specific questions, we're going to squeeze him for all the juice we can while we got him here. I'm getting ready to ask you a question. This is for me. Everybody that knows me knows my favorite way to fish, without a doubt, is with a wacky worm. And you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier when you were talking about some of the things. Are you a weightless wacky guy? You like weighting it? What's your favorite way to throw it?
If I'm fishing around docks or if I'm fishing as a follow-up bait, I like it weightless because I want it as finesse as possible. Now, if I'm deeper than 10 feet, I'm not going to wait for it to hit 10 feet. I'll throw a 16th-ounce nail weight or 30 seconds, something like that in there, just to help it get down there a little faster, but still remain that natural presentation.
I got you. What kind of rod and reel are you throwing that on?
Like a Senko?
Sure.
A stick bait? If I'm fishing docks, I'll throw like a 6'10" medium, something real short that I can skip. If I'm open water, I'm gonna throw like a 7'4" power finesse medium heavy.
Okay, I got you. So Jeremiah Giles says bugs are big as hell down here. Mosquitoes so big they don't even drink blood, just pick you up and fly off somewhere. Put some weights in your pockets on the way in the store, you'll be all right. Now listen, everybody says that, but if you go watch like a bear hunting video or something like that,
It gets really cold in Alaska, and they got mosquitoes that carry moose away.
Well, when we had Gussie on here, he talked about the amount of bugs in Canada and all that will blow your mind. And we always talk down south. I hope it's a cold winter so the bugs will die off.
And aren't the black flies real bad up there too?
Black flies and mosquitoes are bad, but we don't have those giant murder red wasps that are all down your belt that love to fly at your face and crawl underneath your console and everything like that.
That's true. That's true. And them damn yellow jackets we got down here just eat you alive. Brad Silvers he's giving you this kind of little scenario and wants your thoughts. Water temperature 86 on a TVA lake, full moon, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. What are you going to do?
Well, at 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., I'm going to be sleeping because I hate fishing at night. But if I was going to be out there.
Yeah. If you were out there.
I fish Tuesday nighters on Kentucky Lake. Every once in a while, I have a very good friend that lives there, and it starts at 6 and goes till 10. So in that time frame, I'm going to be looking for the shallowest ledges I can find where they can relate to deep water, and probably a big old spinnerbait, single Colorado, and put some meat on the back.
What kind of trailer would you put on the back of it?
I would want it to be as bulky as possible. To try and move as much water as I could. I would either put like a striking rage craw or a structure bug, and I'll put it sideways, the structure bug, so it won't be flat. It will be vertical. That's a really good trailer.
Okay, so Emil says, I've never seen bugs like they have up north. It's unreal.
We have
that's what I see.
And we have flies.
Huh?
We have mosquitoes and we have flies. We don't have murder hornets. They draw the
line. Okay, we'll give you that. Now, let me ask you this question. When it comes to night fishing, you talk about spinnerbaits. We always have this conversation here. How much thought do you put into color? Because guys down here are throwing black. They say you got to throw black at night, but we always have that guy that says, hey, shad don't change color. If we're throwing light colors during the day, we're throwing light colors at night. Where do you fall on that debate?
If it gets dark, I'm throwing something dark because I want them to be able to see that profile as easy as possible.
Okay.
So I'll have a black and blue or a black and purple. It's going to be dark.
Okay. Tim, where should I go up north for a legendary smallmouth trip? Trying to go next June. So more southern redneck's going to head up north.
When's the season open? Like June 13th or something up there?
Yeah, for the American side, but then Canada's still off limits till the first week of July, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Look up the regulations. Don't get caught.
Leave it to the Canadians. Trump's going to change that. That's what we need to get Trump on that. We got to change the Canadian border where we fish. What's the one thing that you hate doing more than anything as far as technique goes? Like if you've actually got it on your boat.
Hang on, we never answered the question.
What the hell was the question? I forgot.
Where to go for a legendary smallmouth trip up north?
There's only one place. Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence River. I've fished Erie. Buffalo can be really good. I just came from St. Clair. Maybe Mille Lacs, but I've never been to Mille Lacs. But Lake Ontario is by far the best. I caught 2 6-pounders today.
So are you fishing out in the lake, or are you actually fishing in the river?
Today was a lake day, which doesn't happen very often. And it was dead slick calm, so I was way out in that lake.
So what advice can you have for some redneck coming up there that doesn't know anything about big water and Lake Ontario? Like, I'm going up there this week and pulling my boat. Like, what do I need to know if I've never been on a Great Lake like that? Because it was a shock factor for me when I first went.
Definitely pay attention to the wind. That's going to be your biggest thing. And just like if you come up for a week, there's going to be 2 days where you can't go fishing because it's just unsafe. So really making sure that your boat is in tip-top shape. You don't have any motor problems. You tighten the bolts down on your transom. Make sure your trolling motor's down, like bolted down nice and tight. And just watching that weather, and then look at the reports, see if people are posting spawning fish, if they're posting outside, like deeper fish, stuff like that.
Is that where it gets like 6 to 8 foot waves and everything goes super crazy up there?
Oh yeah.
If it blows like 15 to 25 out of the southwest, you're looking at like 5 to 9 footers
In a bass boat?
Yeah.
That's will be a submarine pretty soon.
No, not me. So Clint, take over this because I got to come up with our question of the night.
Okay.
So I got to figure that out because, of course, my ass is not prepared. So that's coming up in about 10 minutes, guys. So take off.
So what's one of the things you've learned so far this season on the elites? Like what's something that you're like, okay, I'm trying to learn every tournament, right? Whether I top 10 it or come in the bottom 10. Like what's one of the biggest things you've learned this season?
Trusting your gut. Really, if you feel like you should go do something, like, oh man, I should really try that. Do it. Because I did that a lot. I fought it earlier this year a lot, and I was like, I'm not going to go do that. I'm not going to go do this. I should do that, and I'm not going to do this. And then you watch the tournament recap, and you're like, I really should have done that. And really just going off your instincts, fishing to your strengths, and then trusting your gut. It's there for a reason.
I like it.
And like I'll fly by the seat of my pants in a tournament. I'll pull up on a place because it looks right that I've never fished, just to try it.
Got it. So when's the last time that you remember like fishing and you just feel like you're in that flow state? Like could have happened today on Ontario, but like where, like the flow states where everything's clicking, you're making good decisions, things are going right. Like when's the last time that's happened recently in a tournament?
I mean, Lake 10 Killer. That lake was changing by the hour, not even by the day. Rising water, falling water, rainstorms, lightning, all that good stuff. And I just kind of I figured something out on day 2 that I didn't catch a single bass on all of practice because I tried it. And the first day I didn't catch a single one on it. And then day 2, I caught them most of my weight on a Magnum jigging spoon. So
that's awesome.
Something I tied on that day because I couldn't get them to react out of brush piles. And I threw that spoon out there and they started eating it.
That's awesome.
So we got a TikTok comment right there from Lando Commando 321. He said he wished the elites would throw a night tournament. Would you be okay with that? You would not be okay?
I mean, I'd be okay. I'd figure it out. But I like seeing where I'm going, and I like seeing where I'm casting and stuff like that. I'm not built to fish at night. Some people are. I am not one of those people.
There's probably a bigger liability for them to have a night tournament than a day
tournament.
There's
got to be some liability.
Yeah, if you can't fish in the fog, you definitely can't fish at night.
But it is an interesting thought. Messick Outdoors goes, does fishing those big lakes help you when you come down to the south to fish?
It makes every lake feel small. So that's a good thing. Like pretty much anywhere you can run is within an hour on any lake down south for the most part, not every lake. And it helps you kind of break down water, because the one thing on the Great Lakes is you're either around them or you're not, and there's like no in between.
Okay. All right. Crankin' and Yankin wants to know, what effect do you think it would have on the top 20 if Bassmasters banned forward facing sonar in 2026 compared to this year, if any at all?
That's
a loaded question.
I think the guys in the top 20 would catch them no matter what.
Okay.
I really believe that. Like, just out pre-practicing, you'll see a lot of those guys in that top 20. They'll be there for a week or 2 weeks prior to that tournament even starting. Now, does forward-facing help some of those guys? Absolutely. But I still think that you would see a lot of the same names in that top 20.
So do you think if they eliminated the variable of pre-practice, like back in the day, like if they eliminated pre-practice at all, or as soon as the schedule comes out, you can't go until practice, do you think the leaderboard would shake up a ton?
I think so, because you'd have I'll use Mark Menendez as an example. You have Mark Menendez, who's fished every body of water that can host the tournament for 30-something years, since 1932. And he has all that knowledge, where a lot of the younger guys need to play catch up.
Yeah. I got that. Eric Buck wants to know, what do you wish you knew before joining the elites?
That's a good question.
That's a deep question.
I mean, I wish I fished down south more. I wish I traveled the country more before I got onto the Elite Series, because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants, as where most people on the Elite Series have qualified through the Opens, through the College Series, stuff like that, where they have multiple years of traveling the country and seeing a lot of time on the water, seeing different places and different techniques and stuff like that. I felt like, me personally, I was a little unprepared, but that's just on me. That's not on anyone else.
So with that, being a fisherman like you are, is there a lake in the South that you have not fished that would be like a bucket list lake for you to fish?
Falcon, I think. I'd like to go Falcon or OHIV. I love catching big largemouth. So anywhere with old big green heads in it, I'm in.
So with that, obviously you're a smallie guy. We know that. Like the Lake Lanier's of the world, because that's our place down here in the South, is Lake Lanier. And, you catch the big 6+ spots in there. Does that interest you at all?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just, my phone hasn't rang from Emil Wagner yet. I'm just waiting on that.
Hell, don't listen. He ain't calling me either, so I know how you feel. 100%, Emil. My question of the night was going to be, is there any Bassmaster Elite that has prettier hair than Emil Wagner? And if so, who are they? But I didn't go with that one.
He cut it.
Did he cut it?
Yeah.
That shows you how long it's been since I've seen his ass. Kyle Brown, this is the last question we're going to do before we get to our question of the night. If you weren't fishing the elites, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be either guiding Lake Ontario, Lake Champlain, or I'd be in the ocean, bluefin tuna fishing, striper fishing, stuff like that. I do tuna fishing the second the Elite Series stops till November.
Okay. All right. So let's do this, because we got a couple. Now, you guys in the comment section, if you got a question out there, we're getting ready to do our question of the night. So if we miss it, go ahead and type it again once we're done with the question of the night. So let's pull up our friends at Serve IT. Guys, if you got a company, big or small, no matter what, we all need IT solutions. Serve IT is the company for you. They offer a 100% all-inclusive support for your company. And listen, even if your company's smaller, I'm telling you, I'm learning this here. IT is very, very important. They're great. They're 100% American-based, great customer service. So go to serveit.com and check them out and see if they're right for you. Okay, see if they're right for you. And so anyway, here's our question of the night, and then I'm gonna go fix our TikTok. All right, so the question of the night, and it's gonna be for a Fish North Georgia advisor. Who are Tim Dube's 3 roommates on the Bassmaster Elites? And Emil Wagner, you're not able to answer this question. Keep it going right there.
Do, 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 do. Come on, they need to be. They're trying to spell.
Everybody's on Google right now with that AI.
Yeah, they're trying to AI it, and it's probably
I don't
not
know
working
if
for
AI
it.
would work with that one.
I don't think it would either.
Well, I mean, we said it. We
Yeah.
said it at the beginning of the show. So if you guys were here early, you would know the answer.
Yeah.
What did you get, a puzzle piece?
Yeah, I got a puzzle piece. I had to fix that TikTok. I'm learning that crap right there. Okay, right there. Kyle Brown, Will Davis Jr., Mark Menendez, and Bernie Schultz.
I was really hoping he would put Uncle Bernie.
Yeah.
Uncle Bernie. All right, so Kyle Brown.
Weekend at Bernie's.
That's what I want to happen when I
Absolutely.
die.
2 beer Bernie.
So anyway, Kyle Brown, hit me up on Facebook. You can go to Fish North Georgia or just go to Danny Pruitt and absolutely send me your address and I will get this
We were
out.
supposed to eat shad tonight. Weren't
Yeah, so okay, so this is going to come back. They did not bring the shad to eat, Carson Fowler. Somebody let us down. So, Tim, when we talk about scents, you mentioned licorice earlier, which I was going to say something about that, but we always talk about why people use garlic scent, which makes no sense to me, whatever. But we've had a lot of people say that if you bite into a live shad, it has a garlic taste. Do you have any experience in eating live shad?
That one I have no experience on. I mean, I like garlic, so I'd probably like live shad if that's the case. But I've never had the urge to just grab a shad, bite it.
It was Joshua. I'm sorry I let you down. I knew somebody was supposed to bring us some live shad tonight. So, Joshua, if you bring some live shad, I will absolutely eat it right here on the show. And I will tell you if it tastes like garlic or if it just tastes like shit. I mean,
One of the scents you never bring up is coffee. Coffee is another scent.
Well, he said licorice. Like, what damn fish is eating licorice?
I don't know. I like it, so they like it.
Well, I like coffee.
Red or black?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Red or black licorice. Black?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we
Okay.
go.
I just have never understood the sense. And I always say there was somebody at some point in time, whether it be coffee, licorice, garlic, that said, hey, I'm just going to put this on my bait and see how it works.
Yeah.
But
One of your competitor tackle stores
I ain't got no competitors. I love everybody.
that sells bait, live bait also.
Yeah.
You know, me with my floating fly thing, it's always about the scent.
Yeah.
Go throw coffee grounds in the bait tank and see what happens.
Well, damn, they're stuck in a bait tank. They need a little caffeine.
Go throw garlic in there or something else that doesn't work the same.
Okay, we'll see that. We'll do that. So you talking about down at the dugout?
Yeah.
You think Jamie Koza let me come down there and just throw a bunch of crap in his bait tanks? Just to try
Well, I'm not going to say whether he will or not, but I'm just saying it has been done there before.
Okay, all right, there you go. Oh, this is funny as shit. Darian Moss says, Tim, has anybody ever told you that you look like Shane Gillis?
I've gotten it a couple times.
Can you do us a Shane Gillis impersonation?
Watching Tired.
all the ones that I quote regularly, I'm not comfortable saying over the internet. So
This is hey, look, wait a second. This is a safe space. Okay, I own this show. I mean, this is a safe space. You can say whatever you want. Trust me, I do.
yeah,
I do.
I think I'm gonna let that bus drive by me. I'm not gonna.
Okay, I totally get it. What was do you remember? Because Alex had to go take a pee break right now. Do you remember what Crankin' and Yankin's question was right before that? We'll have to come back to it. Paul B says, "Did you say anise or anise?"
Anise.
Okay, he said anise oil is licorice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that that's it? And then
That's
Bible
it.
Bass TV, he says Strike King coffee baits work amazing. Okay,
They
there
do.
we go. Crankin' and Yankin. All right, he put it back up. Here's the question. How many fish does it take before you call it a pattern? If you are fishing single trees versus groups or shallow docks versus deep dock, how many does it take for you to say, hey, I've got a pattern?
Probably 4 or 5, but it has to be in different spots. Like if I catch one off of one spot doing this, and then it's the same exact thing on the other side of the lake, and I catch 2 or 3 more doing that, that would be what I consider a pattern. It'd have to be doing the same thing on the same type of stuff in different areas. Because if not, it would just be a spot, not a pattern.
I got you. So I know we tease Emil and all that, but he's been on the show before, and he'll go up to a spot, couple of casts, gone. Couple of casts, gone. How much time do you spend on a spot when you're tournament fishing, and how many spots will you hit in a given day?
It depends on my spots I have, where I think I can catch a tournament quality bass. For example, on Okachobee, I had 1 spot, and so did Brandon Polnick, and he won that war.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh no,
He'll come back.
Brandon probably kicked him out.
Brandon Polnick kicked him out.
He said, "Don't give up that juice.
Don't give up that
dude."
juice." So, like the ghost of Brandon Polnick was here. So he'll come back. So Tim, if you can hear us, you lost your hit it back up. Bible Bass TV says if I catch 4 fish on 1 lure, I use it all day. How about you?
Well, I think I've got the cursed fisherman knowledge of like I just caught a fish on a buzzbait. Let me pick up something else. it's like whatever it is that I just caught a fish on. It's like I immediately pick up another rod, which I don't understand why.
He's
I do
back.
that.
Oh, he's back. There he goes.
Somebody called me and kicked me out.
Oh, we thought Brandon Polnick might have just kicked you off because you was getting ready to say something about him.
No,
It's happened before.
So talk about that Okachobee tournament, because that was crazy. You got 4 guys fishing the same hole, multiple other people coming in too. Like,
Was he in that hole with him?
oh yeah.
Oh, you were one of the boats right there.
There were 4 of us.
I'll be honest with you. That was probably some of the most exciting tournament footage that I have watched in this shop. That little window right there.
It was cool. So talk about that. How'd that come about?
So day 1, De Palma found it the first day of practice, and I found it in pre-practice and went to check it. And when I went to check it, Will was sitting on it the last day, and he goes, "We're both starting right here, just so you know." I went, "All right, sounds good." And so then we did the boat number thing. De Palma had a better boat number day 1 than I did, but he had a Marshall. I was by myself. Will had the best boat number, so Will was there first. I rolled in second. De Palma rolled in third. And then Polnick rolled in last. And he kind of was like on the edge, and he's like, "Oh, the spot's kind of small for 4 boats. It's the only thing I got." And I made the mistake of saying, "Well, do you want to go between De Palma and I, or do you want to go between Will and I?" And then I don't regret inviting him in, but I was.
So how does it feel
gave
really?
Me a talk after saying, "Why would you invite a guy in that's nicknamed the Prodigy?"
Yeah.
So how does it? I mean, this not meant to be a bad question, but how's it feel to know that you've got the winning spot and then get teeth kicked in just like every other fisherman in the field did?
If you told me I could finish 35th place and not launch the boat at the start of that tournament, I would have driven home. So I was A-okay with finishing where I finished. None of us really knew how magical that spot was. All of us caught a 7-pounder there in pre-practice, or in the official practice, though, and you catch 1 and you'd leave. And the first day of the tournament, Brandon Polnick's YouTube does great justice of how epic day 1 was. Because we were all trading blows back and forth, and it was like, "Oh, how big's that one? Oh, that one's a 6.5. Oh, how big's that one? That one's a 7." And we said if you catch 20, and when you get rid of your last 2-pounder, that's when you're done. Because we were trying to manage the spot as best as possible. We had no idea how anyone else was doing, and we had no idea that, I would be the bottom of the barrel of that group after day 1 in 11th place, or 9th place, or 10th place, sorry. I was the worst one out of them, and I was in 10th place. So after day one, it kind of got real with the weigh-in, where it's like, all right, we all found the winning spot.
Yeah. That's it.
So there's some bait shared around during that tournament. So like, talk about that.
Well, day one, they love the big worm, and those got shared the other way. And along with I was putting scent on my bait, and I got like, I don't know, 6 or 7 bites before anyone else got a bite. Next thing I know, I have to pass the scent to everyone else. So it was kind of it was very interesting. We all, like Mercer called it the get along gang, because none of us had a problem with each other or where we were, because we all started there. And on day 2, we had a fog delay, and there was a morning bite and then an afternoon bite, and it was kind of slow in the middle of the day. But those 2 windows were super key, and we missed the morning one. And De Palma left and caught 20 pounds out in the lake, which was super impressive. And Will left and fished something else, and then it was just Paul, Nick, and I. And then I rolled. We had a little lap we would do when we get bored of fishing this one singular rock pile. And I did a loop around the little lap just for a change of scenery, and I see like a 7-pounder on the bed with the male. So I start working on that one. And I catch the male, and I look over, and Brandon catches a 9. I'm like, well, that sucks. And then I lose the female. I couldn't get her to react to anything outside of a glide bait. And I'm like, well, this is high risk and high reward. And I threw the glide in there, and she kind of like pushed it sideways and disappeared. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm going back to the rock pile. And that's when he caught his second 9-pounder. Well, that really sucks.
Yeah.
And then he caught a 7 or something, had that monster bag, and then we put him in timeout. We told him to get lost, and he did. And he was very nice of him to share what he was catching him on, which is unheard of. And he gave me one of those baits, and I caught enough to make the cut, and then fished day 3 with it.
Yeah, that's what I remember, him sharing the bait and everything. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a tournament, like on live camera, guys giving baits like that. I thought it was kind of cool.
I bet after that tournament was over, you could walk across the boats in that area of the lake. Every person in Florida was over there.
It started getting bad on day 3.
Yeah. Which Messick Outdoors asked, did anybody else try to come in there?
De Palma was our bodyguard. He was the furthest one out. So whenever someone tried coming in, he was the first one there. But everyone was super respectful. Obviously, after day 1 happened, and then you're gonna try and pull in on 3 cameras in the 4-boat spot. That'd be a bad look. No one tried it. I will say Carl Jockson fished the riprap right in front of it. Day 1, he had the best boat number, and he started on the riprap, and he never once made a cast out to that rock pile. So that was pretty stand up of him, just to show his integrity, where he never once did he try and jump out and get a bite where we were. He fished what he was there to fish and left.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. Eric Buck wants to know, if you had to get rid of one of the following, which would it be? Traditional sonar or down imaging?
I'd get rid of down imaging.
Okay, and why?
I've spent so much time looking at a 2D image, and a 2D will show how hard the bottom is a lot better than down imaging will. It'll just show you the bottom. Where with a 2D, you can see if it's a soft bottom, mud bottom, or if it's a hard rock bottom, shell, stuff like that. So I would stick with 2D. But then if you told me live scope or side scan, it would be a lot trickier.
Okay, so live scope or side scan, which would you get rid of if you had to?
Oh, side scan.
You walked right into that one.
Easily side scan.
Yeah.
Not scoping, you're hoping. Like, come on now.
You gotta, cranking and yanking. Just stay down back there in the comments because I know he's probably boiling right there.
But I think more fish have been caught because of side scan than any other technology.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Brad Silvers wants to know, what's your favorite lure for smallies in their summertime haunts?
It's hard to be the drop shot, especially when in their summertime haunts. So they're going to be between 25 and 55 feet of water. It's on the Great Lakes, especially. They live on the bottom. Where if you go Champlain, they chase alewives around a lot. So that on the Great Lakes it would be a drop shot. On Champlain or anywhere they chase bait and they're not so bottom locked, it would be probably a minnow.
Okay. All right. That's good. Far Dog, our buddy from Southeast Oklahoma, it's flooding again there. It's been flooding on him like all summer
all
long.
year.
It seems like he's always cranking and yanking. Says, insert eye roll here. So we get you. I knew it was coming, cranking and yanking. I knew it. Now then, Craftmaster.
What's your favorite megahertz for over 15 foot on 2D?
I don't know. I just use the Mega Side Imaging. I think is it 800?
Lord, don't ask me.
We don't know either. That's a Trent Palmer question. We should ask Trent at Sonar Pros because we don't.
That's a good one. I don't know.
But I think that's the 800 or the 455 is side imaging.
You're right. That is.
If you're doing standard 2D, it's more likely going to be like a 200 or 83
or the chirp. Don't they have chirp?
Yeah,
on the new one.
Yeah.
Whatever whatever megahertz it's on when you turn it on out of the box, that's where it's at.
There you go. I like that.
Default, baby.
Default
Doobie.
That's his new name. Okay, that's what
when in doubt, restore the default.
There you go. So now Joshua wants to know, between these two options, what would you get rid of and what would you keep? Side scan or mapping?
Oh boy. Traveling the country, I would get rid of side scan. If I was fishing a local area, I would get rid of mapping.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Craftmasters, he's continuing on this. So maybe since none of us know the answer, you might. He says 50, 200, medium chirp, high chirp.
High chirp.
High chirp?
I think it's high chirp out of the box.
Is that what it comes with? Is that the standard?
Yeah.
High chirp?
Depends which model and equipment you're using, but I'm just going to speak for Lowrance.
Okay.
Yeah.
High chirp. Well, okay. Speaking of that, Tim, what do you use? What's your electronics?
I have both Humminbird and Garmin on my boat.
Okay.
So I mix and match. I play with both of them. I have Garmin live scope. I have Humminbird side imaging because the Humminbird side imaging it shows fish better than any other side imaging transducer out there, in my opinion. And I like the Lake Master mapping, but I also like the Garmin mapping as well. Certain places like the Great Lakes, Garmin has 1 foot contours through the whole lake.
All right. So Bible Bass TV says Lowrance all day on TikTok.
Yeah.
You guys, listen, some of you guys are brand loyal. I get it 100%.
Different strokes for different folks.
That's exactly right. So Joshua says mapping and scope, screw the rest. That's what he would take. I get that.
Yeah.
Eric Buck, what lake would you like to see on next year's schedule prior to June?
I mean, so that's 4 tournaments prior to June. I would love like a pre-spawn spotted bass deal. I feel like that would be fun. Lanier.
Like Lanier in April, that'd be pretty sweet. Or March.
Yeah, that wouldn't suck.
That would not suck.
It would not.
I'd also, I mean, any Carolina lakes, those are all fun before June. I like fishing in Texas just because the bass are always big. The one cool thing with fishing in Texas where I don't get to experience it being in the Northeast is anytime you set the hook, it could be a 10-pounder in Texas.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that you can't get everywhere in the country.
So what is
Except on
your
the Sabine.
what is your big largemouth for New Hampshire or your home area?
Oh, what would a big largemouth be?
Or his personal big?
Out of New Hampshire, the biggest one I've caught was 826.
Oh, that's big
That's
up there.
Big.
Hey, listen, we got a guy that comes in here from time to time in New Hampshire or Maryland or something. He talks about like 20 plus bags all the time. I think it's Maryland. They're all the same states up there to me. So it's up yonder.
So there was a tournament last weekend on the biggest lake in New Hampshire, Winnipesaukee, and they did a 6 fish limit team tournament, and they had 30.5 pounds of largemouth on 6.
That's a 5 average.
I would take a 5 average. So Crankin' and Yankin's got a question. Do you think tournaments should be postponed until after the spawn on any given lake, as in start them later in the year?
So yes, I hate spawn tournaments. It's very strategic because a lot of people always cannibalize each other, grabbing spawning fish that you're trying to catch. I would love to see a pre-spawn, and then I would love to see some more pre-spawn, and then maybe some post-spawn later in the year.
Okay, that's a good one.
But I don't make those decisions, obviously.
We understand.
I show up when they tell me to show up.
You could only fish the schedule that they give you.
Yes, I would love to see some more pre-spawn. Like I think we had 1 tournament in June, but we had 3 in April or something like that this year. Like we could definitely spread it out. In the perfect world, with me not looking at any logistics whatsoever, just talking, sounds like you could spread some tournaments out and fish more pre-spawn tournaments.
Yeah. All right. So out of the Elite Series tournaments that you fished so far, what 2 would you do again at the same time next year? So like, let's say like you went to Florida in February for those dates. Like, would you do that again next year? Like what would be the 2 tournaments that you'd do again at the same time that you'd already fished them again? Like if you had to repeat 2 next
from
year,
this year or from the last 2 years?
The last 2 years.
Toledo Bend, 100%. Those weights were insane. The bass were moving up to spawn, super pre-spawn. Toledo Bend, and that was February. 100% would do that again. And also Sam Rayburn is right next door, so they could sprinkle that one in too. I honestly loved the Harris chain last year, and that was in April when they're ultra post spawn. I enjoyed that one. I liked Hartwell. Hartwell's always fun. Anytime you go. Let's see.
Give us one northern swing one.
Same time. I mean, it's always good to go up north. So anytime's a good time.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I could see it mentioned.
Most of the states you can't fish up north for the smallmouth before like mid-June, correct? So they have to have them later in the year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sense.
But July's wide open.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got that. Clint Catches Dinks has joined us tonight. Is that Trent? Probably right there. All right. So look, you mentioned alewives earlier. We have a lake here called Carter's, and it is full of alewife, and it is one deep ass lake. So Brad Silvers wants to know, tell me more about the alewife up there. What depth are they in? And especially like in different water temps, because his home lake is that one, and he can't figure them out. So when it comes to fishing alewives, what do you think?
I'm not even looking at the bottom, so it doesn't matter how deep you are. They're going to be suspended, usually within the first 15 to 30 feet is where they like to live in Champlain. But you could be over 100 feet and there'd be a bait ball pushed up. And most of the time it's just idling the middle till you see some on, because your side imaging will actually show you bait balls throughout the water column when you're that deep. And I'll just turn around, drop the scope, and see if there's any fish on and move on. But that being said, I think a minnow is the best way to catch those fish on alewives. And a lot of times you'll have to go with a much heavier head to get it down to them to make an accurate cast, because those fish never stop swimming. So they're very unpredictable of where they're going to be, because they're not holding to anything. They're just following that bait pretty much, I think, as soon as they get off the bed until they eat the entire school.
So
they
that
just keep chasing them.
The Carter's Lake thing, obviously I like the float and fly deal, but another thing for me on Carter's Lake in the wintertime is the deep drop shot. And I've caught fish on a drop shot, 120 foot of water, and catch them at 100 around alewives. But that's in the middle of winter.
Okay. All right. It's most of our lake have herring. I think alewives on Carter that's the one lake in Georgia that has a big population.
But I use a 1 ounce weight. So that when I'm scoping and I need to get down there, you got to get down there now. You can't wait 10, 15 seconds because they're moving.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing forward facing sonar has shown a lot of people, if you just go by fish behavior and everything, is that they're never really sitting still, especially the bait when it comes to herring and alewives, and just how fast they're moving all the time.
The thing that blew my mind the most is how much catfish live by the surface. I always thought catfish were on the bottom.
Yeah, they'll throw you off. I cast a lot of catfish every single day.
I think I caught one on Hartwell right in front of you.
Yeah, you did actually. You did. And you're like, it's a giant.
Were you filming it? Were you filming that up there?
Yeah.
When he was there?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So wait, what? Once the bass move out to their summertime haunts, do they stay in that area that they have picked for most of the summer? In your experience?
That it's going to depend on, every lake is going to be different. If it's a grass lake and they move out into those grass, they'll probably live out in that grass. If it's a ledge, they'll move out to the ledge for a little bit and then they'll move to another ledge. I'm not super experienced in ledge fishing. I just have a little bit on Kentucky Lake and Wheeler and Pickwick, but usually there's the early ledge and then there's like the later ledges. And then a smallmouth, like if it's a boulder that they're on, usually there's one on the boulder, but you never know if it's that same one or if they just live there. You never know. That's a tough question. I'd love to put a GPS tracker in a couple and see what happens.
So I got one more question real quick for the northern smallmouth fishermen. If you watch any of the Elite series or whatever, or fishing shows, it's always, they're easier to catch on a bright sunny day.
Yes.
Down here, cloudy is better. So what makes the Great Lakes better, or the northern lakes better when it's sunny?
They're fair weather fish. They like it when it's nice out. I like when it's nice out.
Yeah.
But I had a thought, and I could be totally wrong, that obviously a lot of those Great Lakes, there's not really a lot of cover or structure in them, right? So if you find one rock pile, then the fish are going to, whether they use a shade line from the rock pile or something, they're going to be in that. So if you know where the rock piles are, when the sun's out, the fish are going to be in the shade lines to those. When it's cloudy, they're roaming all over the place. That's why I believe up north, as the structure is so less, that once you know the structure they're going to hang out around, you got half the battle won. Whereas here, there's structure everywhere in the lakes that have the smallmouth in them.
Yeah.
And we catch them more on a cloudy day.
The other thing to add to that, I think when it's sunny out, they can see your bait better. And they can see it from further away. And they have to eat. Like, winter is already coming. Like, they're already putting on a feed bag type deal. So they have to eat, and I think on sunny days, I'll 100% agree with you. It positions them on that structure or lack thereof, and then they can also see the bait better.
Okay. All right. Aaron Young wants to know, what does a weekend tournament cost on average? So I'm assuming he's talking about like a single Elite series You think that's what that question is
Yeah,
about?
sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned kind of the overall money that you were spending earlier, but as far as like if you had to break it down per tournament, how much you got in it?
Including the pre-practice and whatnot. And
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
probably $5,000, $6,000 to each one.
And that's not counting your entry fees or whatever.
No, this year we have we have smaller entry fees. It's like $1,000 a tournament. Last year it was $5,000 a tournament.
Right.
But 2 weeks of Airbnb, travel to get there, food. I always try and cook as much as I can. But some days during practice, like you get off the water at 9 o'clock, the last thing you want to do is go cook food. So then you hit up the gas station pizza. Always a good call. Always. Gas station pizza never loses. So that's usually what I have into it. Some places are more expensive than others. Typically up north is much more expensive than down south is. And so those tournaments down south, you can get away with a cheaper house or Airbnb. And it's still very, very nice where when you go up north, you spend a little bit more money on housing.
Throw that question out there for Eric Buck's question, Clint.
All right. Do you mark structure and then scan over it in practice, or mark structure and then check it with forward facing?
I will in pre-practice, I'll just mark structure because I don't care if there's a bass on it at all. Because a lot of times they're not going to be there yet when I'm there a month ahead of time. During the tournament, I'll have those waypoints from pre-practice. For example, 10 killer. I had 150 or 60 brush piles marked on 10 killer, and 7 of them had bass in it. So I'll just roll up that week during the tournament and drop the forward facing, see if there's bass in it, move to the next.
Okay. Off of TikTok, Atlanta Safe House has this question for you. When you got to your very first Bassmaster Elite tournament, what did that feel like? Must have been a dream come true. And then for me, I want to know, like, what are the anglers as you were meeting, you had your first meeting or whatever, that just kind of like, I can't believe I'm fishing with this guy?
Oh, I mean, that was – I remember rolling up to the ramp and I'm like, oh, boy, this is going to be interesting. And, launching the boat next to Greg Hackney or, I always liked watching Greg growing up. Now a lot of other big pros are escaping me right now. Polnick, same thing. Like he idled up to me the second after day one was like, how you liking it so far? And I was like, well, I caught 8 pounds yesterday in 30s. Sucks.
Right.
How
intimidating was it?
Very, very intimidating.
Yeah.
But now, like I say it as much as I could to try and convince myself it's just a club derby. It's just a different club. Like you're in a different club, but it's still just a club tournament. It's just high stakes.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. One more from
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I tried to say that about 100 times a day just to get it in my head. It's just a club tournament.
I like that. That's a very good way to do it. Bible Bass TV wants to know, what sponsors did you start with and what do you have now?
I started with, oh boy, this is not going to be good.
Listen, if it's one of those you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer it.
I started with 9 the first year, and now I have 14.
Okay.
So
we'll just go with that. How about that? Yeah, we'll go with that one.
It was very, very difficult for me, though, not knowing the industry, so to speak. And when I qualified for the Elite Series, I had to give them an answer if I wanted to fish or if I didn't want to fish in 10 days.
Oh, really?
And up until that point, I was self-sponsored. I went to work, and then I bought stuff.
I got you. I understand that. Let's see. Where are we at now? La 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 la. I'm going down there. Wait, what? My tourneys have a 1 week cutoff. If I pre-fish Sunday, catch a couple, leave it alone, is it likely those fish will be there a week later? I know the conditions relatively hold. Is what he's saying.
Absolutely. I hate sticking fish in practice. I like to catch one off of a spot, so I wouldn't sit there and catch 4 or 5. Catch one, see how big it is, and then mark it and go back to it, especially if you see a group there. And with the 1 week cutoff, if it's unless it's like springtime, fish are moving way more than they are in the summer. I would say those fish should be there.
Okay. All right. Rick Steckelberg's joining us on TikTok. What's up, bud? You can do this in a broad stroke kind of way. Bible Bass says he's got a few sponsors and wants to get to that level. What steps does he need to take?
Social media is the biggest thing. Having a social media platform, posting on it a bunch, and then my personal experience, I went to, instead of trying to get a piece of the pie of the fishing industry, I went to business owners, local business owners, and places like that, and see if they were looking for advertisement. So it doesn't necessarily need to be an endemic. A lot of my sponsors are non-endemic sponsors.
Okay.
How much time do you actually spend at seminars and expos and that kind of thing to kind of meet sponsor requirements?
Well, different contracts for different things. I typically work 4 expos a year plus, 6 expos a year. So six weekends typically.
You going to be at ICAST?
I will not this year. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I guess that's next week. I got that. Name 3 baits always on your boat.
A jig, black and blue, or green pumpkin. Either I like a 1/2 ounce or like a 5/8. Always on my boat. Drop shot, minnow. Those 3 are always out.
Okay. Makes sense.
I like it.
Is that one we can answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Send
So
it.
you go ahead and do it.
All right. What is your current requalification position, and what are your thoughts on the 2-year average for the rookies?
My current requalification position is I need to catch them the next 2 tournaments. I haven't looked at what I am in AOY, but I know prior to 10 color it wasn't good, so that helped it a little bit. The way I'm looking at it is I just have to go out and I have to make 2 more cuts to fish Saturday, and then I should be okay. So right now I am out. If the season ended today, I would be out. I do like where they give you that 2 years to see if you can basically cut it on the Elite Series, because it is like the most cutthroat tournament trail ever. Like every single person on the series could win a tournament the next week. Like every single person is fully capable, has the fishing capabilities to win a tournament. But I like where they have the 2 years average, and then it goes off of your top 5 years with a drop after that. I don't see a problem with it. It's very black and white, cut and dry. But right now, I'm on the outside, but there's also like a lot of really big names also on the outside right now as well.
It is crazy to see that side of the list. Like, so that obviously probably puts a little bit of pressure on these next 2. Like, what's the best way to go into that? Are you treating it just like any other club derby, or like is there any different strategy going into these last 2? Any more pre-practice or anything different, or are you just treating it like any other tournament?
Just treating it like any other tournament. I already went and pre-practiced St. Clair. I pre-practiced Wisconsin on the Mississippi River. So I've done my homework on that sense, and basically I just need to make good decisions the next 2 tournaments. And
So
that's always the biggest thing, making good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find yourself making bad decisions, what's your first move to get yourself out of that?
Usually like on the water during a tournament.
Yeah.
I'll put myself in timeout for about 2 minutes.
Fair
And
enough. What's that look like?
I'll sit down. I'll grab an Uncrustable, greatest boat snack ever. I'll grab some water. I'll absolutely house that Uncrustable, drink the water, and I'll say, "What you are doing is not working." That's
Do
the
these
line
these
that
next
I.
two tournaments?
What was
These
that?
next two tournaments? Do these next two tournaments kind of fit more into your wheelhouse more than the Southern tournaments?
I'm definitely more comfortable. I never fished St. Clair, and I never fished Mississippi River until these past 2 weeks when I was there. St. Clair is scary because it's a fish catching derby. That it's going to be not like, oh man, we need 5 bites. It's going to be like we need 23 pounds. So it's going to be a slugfest fish catching derby. And then the same thing with lacrosse. I think it's going to be like a 12.5, you're borderline, but like say a 13.5, and you're going to be way up.
Okay. First of all, Cranking and Yanking wants to know what the heck is an Uncrustable.
Oh, dude.
How do you not know what an Uncrustable
You live
is?
under a rock? Come on.
He doesn't use forward facing, so basically.
He's down in Louisiana. They might not have them down there. It's basically a PB&J sandwich
with no crust.
And they make them that way.
And they come
like
frozen
press
in
it
big old
together.
box. Yeah.
Yes. It's almost like a pie. It's like a little sandwich pie.
Very much like a little pie, yeah.
And they're absolutely fantastic.
Diabolical.
Yeah.
They'd be much better if they didn't have peanut butter in them.
You don't like peanut butter?
No.
You can get them with Nutella inside of them.
Yeah.
They make some with Nutella.
Who doesn't eat peanut butter?
This guy.
That's why you don't have no hair.
Yeah.
If you ate peanut butter, you'd have some hair. You have some protein in there like that. Eric Buck wants to know, would you try to requalify through the opens if things didn't work out?
That would depend on a lot of things. It would depend on sponsorship, sponsorship dollars wise, and if the money was there, then yes. If it's not there, because obviously you lose a ton of exposure not being on the Elite Series,
Right.
I wouldn't leverage the house to go fish the opens.
I understand. Atlanta Safe House says if you take an Uncrustable and fry them in a pan, it is so good.
I do them in the air fryer. 2.5
air fry your
2.5 minutes per side, and it is delicious.
At what, 400?
Yeah, 400.
400 degrees in the
Cooking
air fryer,
tips.
2 minutes per side.
It's like toast on the outside and warm and gooey in the middle.
Son.
And it's really, really good with the peanut butter and honey Uncrustables.
I've never had that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he ain't got
peanut butter and honey
no
is
damn
good.
air fryer on his boat though.
Hey, man, it's 2025. Okay?
It's 2025. Get rid of your forward-facing sonar and get you an air fryer on the boat.
Yep.
So there you go. Let's see. Is anybody out there in the electric-only world looking for 260-volt Ray motors? If so, wait, what has them? You boys are the ones that made your mama cut off the crust from the bread. They're cranking and yanking. No,
my mom definitely would not have done that.
my mom would make me eat the crust right there. Seriously, though. It must be a Louisiana thing, but I can't believe you don't eat peanut butter.
Heck no. No way. If I was on a desert island and the only thing that grew there that was edible was peanuts, I'd go ahead and use what energy I had to dig my grave because I'm going to starve.
Are you allergic to them?
No, I'm not allergic. That's got to be the absolute worst thing on the planet.
Damn.
That's some pretty
That just
strong.
makes me sad.
Even like the chunky peanut butter, that's the best.
Oh, I don't like any nuts pretty much, but definitely peanuts. That is like, I've gone to like I don't know if you have them up there, Texas Roadhouse, where everybody's eating the peanuts and throwing the shells all over the place.
Yeah.
I've had to leave before just because of the smell.
They stopped doing that, the shells and the peanuts on the floor.
because of people that are allergic to them.
So, what's your address so everybody watching can send you some peanut?
I don't start that because when I used to work,
Yeah.
I'd come back from lunch or something and be peanuts all over my desk and everything else.
That's because you deserved it. You deserve that. Dip the Uncrustable in batter and deep fry it, says Bottom Line Outdoors. This is how this show goes. I mean, we're supposed to be talking fishing, but right now,
could you imagine putting a Reese cup inside an Uncrustable? That'd be pretty legit. I just thought about that because he was talking about.
Look, my wife is watching, and she says, "Kick him off the show." And listen, when Mrs. Pruitt says to do something, I got to do it. Else, I'm not getting any sunshine. You can't come back no more.
All right,
because my love life is more important than the fact that you don't eat peanut butter. No, I'm just kidding. So, hey, thanks for watching, Amanda. We appreciate you joining us here on the live well tonight. Not liking peanut butter is the most un-American thing I've heard of. Deport him now. So, okay, how about this? If you don't have Uncrustables available, what's your next go-to boat snack?
Ooh. I mean, the Uncrustables are always available.
And okay, are they strawberry or grape? That's important. Both.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Do you mix it up? Do you have a little
the
tap there?
I'll go one with one hand driving down the lake, and one with the other hand driving down the lake.
You ever stack them together and just make it confusing?
My mouth isn't that big. I can't do it. I can't.
You're right. I remember that time last year.
So Alex, how long would we have to put it in there for if we stacked them? Would we go 4 minutes per side?
Well, I mean, that's what she said.
You could just cook them both.
Who said what?
And then stack them
Are you
together.
talking about my wife?
No.
Oh,
you just said how long do I have to put it in for if I stack them? That's what she said.
Well, at my age, it don't take long. 2 minutes is a long time at my age. So anyway, all right, what was you saying, Alex?
You don't have to stack them before you air fry them. You could just pull them out and then hold them together.
Yeah, true. And then put a Reese cup in between them and then squeeze them together like a little sandwich. Then you got a peanut butter McJelly Uncrustable. That'd be pretty legit.
Now listen, my wife, bless her heart, remember when I said I don't last more than 2 minutes? Look at that damn comment right there. No shit. Like, I am going home.
That's what peanuts do for you.
Oh, so you think if I lay off the peanut?
Hey, take it off him. He's exiled.
Hey, listen, that's right. I am going home and I am going to do the business, boys. I'm just telling you that right now.
2027 boats will have air fryers.
2027.
That'd be legit. Be like, we got the new Phoenix Yamaha air fryer. That'd be legit.
So how about this?
I have heated seats in the boat.
Yeah. We should a microwave or something like that.
Just like a little warm oven, like the warming drawer on an oven.
Are you in a Phoenix?
I am. I have a 920 with the Yamaha on the back.
Good choice.
My gosh. Brian Marcuson. Wouldn't putting them in the air fryer defeat the purpose of no crust? Might as well eat a starfish. Now,
it's like
that starfish is not the starfish you think he's talking about. So, Alex, are you eating the chocolate starfish, or are you going with the? That's what he's talking about.
I'm putting my fucking Uncrustables in the air fryer. Sorry, pardon my French.
I'm sorry. Listen, I know you're probably never going to come back after this episode, but this is just how it goes. So, the only real question is: has Amanda caught yourself checking yourself for COVID?
All right, you got to fill Tim in on the COVID check.
Okay,
so it's been a while since this story's been told.
All right, Tim. So listen, when the first round of COVID hit, okay, my wife and my daughter were both in the hospital, and I'm laying on the couch at home.
Working in the hospital.
No, they were in the hospital.
They were in the hospital?
They were in the hospital.
Oh, Okay.
So
Sorry.
seriously, like, yeah, he goes, yeah, he's never coming back, especially after this story. So anyway, I'm sitting on the couch dying, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. And I remember them saying, your smell and your taste go away if you got COVID. So I didn't have the strength to get up, and I was like, I think I got COVID, and I'm in the house by myself. So I needed something to smell. So I just went one knuckle deep up the butt and just stuck it right there. Just to see. And listen, I didn't go 2 knuckles deep, just one knuckle deep. And I'm like, yeah, I got COVID. Listen, you got to do what you got to do in a given time.
That's a COVID test.
That's a
right
COVID
there.
test right there. And he goes, you got to quit. Paul says, you got to quit telling people the story.
Did you get pink eye at the same time too?
Well, I didn't lick it or nothing like that.
That's what your wife just said. She said, surprised you didn't lick his fingers.
Well, she understands why I do. That's all I got to say. All right, anyway, we're going to get in trouble. I got to go home after this.
We aren't.
He says, damn, brother, I don't believe I would have told that. Listen, I'm telling you right now.
It ain't the first time he's told it on here either.
90% of you guys out there have you've done it before. You know you've done it before. You just ain't got the balls to admit it.
Look at Father Time's comment.
2 knuckles deep would be like getting a second opinion. Okay? And listen, they ain't a one of you that done wiped your butt. That finger ain't slipped through that daggum toilet paper. And not one of you have a problem.
The
with doing
FCC is going to close you.
No, the FCC, they do it too. And we got really crappy toilet paper these days. It's only about 3 inches wide and it's single ply. So anyway, sorry. That was almost as good as the Kiefer story. I'll tell you that if you ever come back again. You don't want to know about the Kiefer. All right. So anyway, all right. You guys got any like seriously legit questions for this Bassmaster Elite thing that we got on? Or we're going to talk about sticking fingers up our butts? What are we doing?
Quit using the we term. We aren't talking
You
about
don't get to
that.
talk no more. You believe him better.
Yeah.
All right. You're banned. FYI, Danny never washes his hands. There you go. So, and if Randy Blockett makes a video, I'll give him something to talk about. So anyway, y'all got any serious questions for this young gentleman here? There's nowhere to go.
It is tough after that. It is tough. What do you got going on between now and St. Clair?
Nothing really. Just up here fishing a little bit, and then gonna roll home after this week and hang out with friends and family. That's the one thing with being on the road so much is you miss a lot of stuff back home. You miss birthdays and holidays and stuff like that. So when I go home, I'll catch up as much as I can.
Okay, so wait, what? Just checked. He don't have COVID. Joshua Goat has asked this question like 5 times. I got to make sure I get it right here. On your jig, do you use a chunk or a craw?
Craw, always. Rage craw.
Rage craw. Okay, we want to make sure we got
I'll take
Is
the
it coffee scented or COVID scented?
that
Hey,
coffee.
do you think we should try that?
What? Pruitt's butt juice? Is that the color?
I ain't got no gallbladder. It probably would be hard to do.
We went from fishing with your toe to butt juice.
Oh, yeah. We had a guy last week that wanted to take his toe. He got it amputated, and he's taking it down to Panama City. He's got it sitting on a jar of formaldehyde, and his goal is to catch a fish on his toe. So, Tim Dube, if you were to take one piece of your body to actually catch a fish with, what would it be?
I mean, does luscious locks of hair count?
No, you can't do hair jigs. That's too easy. You got to do like a physical piece of your body.
I mean, what I think would one eat, or just what I would be willing to part with?
You're on a deserted island, and you got to pick somebody else's body part to fish with. What are you throwing?
Left nut.
Put some strings in it like a fuzzy dice.
Yeah, and how would you fish it?
I'd probably go. I'd probably wacky rig a pinky. You know.
I think that would be more like Ned rigging or something, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, maybe a Ned rig on the pinky because you can still do most things without a pinky. I feel like you don't need all 10 fingers.
The thumb is the most important.
The thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did you hear what I said? That if you took your big toe, you could use it as a punch bait. You could go to Gunnersville with a big toe.
Yeah, you could.
You could punch Texas rigged worm. No, yeah, you guys listen seriously. All right. Anyway, we do have a serious question. Best tip for tidal fisheries.
Ooh, I dislike tidal fisheries, but at the same time, I like them because there's always water moving. It's never stagnant. It's either coming in or coming out. The biggest tip I would say would be when you get a bite, put a waypoint down and see the time that you got your bite, what tide that was, and then try and get back to that area at the same time you had that bite.
Okay.
Because it's all about windows on tidal fisheries.
That makes sense. Georgia Country Boy TV goes, he wants to know what truck does he drive all those miles on and why?
I have a Toyota Tundra. It's a hybrid. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. One of those new ones. I had 190,000 miles on my last Tundra, so I figured I'd give it a go one more time. And Toyota bonus bucks, dynamic sponsorships. So.
Oh, okay. So he does say good choice. I have one too. So there you go. So
yeah.
All right. With that, we kept you about 2 hours.
Yeah, thanks for staying the whole time.
We've scared the hell out of you. Hey, listen though.
This ain't nothing. I room with Menendez, Uncle Bernie. This ain't nothing.
Well, no, and I realize that, but like Mercer is not going to ask you these hard hitting questions that we ask you here on the live well, and you're not going to get this kind of quality information anywhere else. So,
Uncrustables, air fryer, 400, 2 minutes each side. Is that what we went with?
Yeah,
2.5, I think.
It's like 2.5, then flip it over.
You'll find that said. That's what he took from it. he wants to know how to do the damn Uncrustable.
I found it on TikTok. TikTok hack.
It's a TikTok hack.
Yeah.
If I go home and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I cut it off and do that,
it's not going to be the same because it's not frozen. Uncrustables are frozen.
Okay, so if you got a lukewarm Uncrustable, like a minute and a half each side.
I mean, I don't know. You're going to have
like
to
out of the boat cooler.
You're going to have to experiment with
semi-warm,
kind of soggy.
I'll do that, and then tomorrow on the lunch break we'll revisit it and see how it turns out when I go home. How about that?
Do you have Uncrustables?
Or I'm going to make a homemade one.
Oh, man, you might as well just make some toast.
That's not even the same thing.
You might as well just make some toast.
Amanda, I think we might have an Uncrustable in the freezer. I'll go home and try that.
You should.
I'll go home and try that.
It's going to change your life.
So anyway, dude, listen, Tim, absolutely thank you for coming on. I hope we didn't scare the hell out of you.
No, you definitely didn't. Appreciate having me.
Yeah, and I hope you'll come back in the future. We promise we'll keep some of the stuff off that we talked about tonight. We'll talk more about fishing and all that, but don't blame me. Just blame the guys I hang around. That's the way it is. But we want to wish you from FNGO seriously best of luck on your next two events. We'll be pulling for you.
Appreciate it.
So absolutely, it's been fun talking to you, and we did have some good information in here tonight between all the other stuff. So it was a good recommendation there, Clint.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Doobie's the man. Thanks for coming on.
Doobie's the man right there. So, anyway, you guys go watch Doobie and eat some peanut butter, grill it Uncrustable, take a COVID test, and
in that order.
Well, I can tell you what I'm gonna do when I get home, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Me and Mrs. Pruitt gonna have a conversation, and she's been coughing a lot lately. Maybe she needs a test. I don't know. Anyway, so
you might as well go home and work with the Uncrustable because you're not going to be doing anything else.
You never know. So anyway, Tim, appreciate you joining us tonight. Yeah. You guys, hey, thank you for coming in. You guys over there on TikTok as well for joining us tonight. And we'll be tomorrow at lunchtime, noon. We'll have another lunch break. and then we'll have another live well on Thursday night. So we appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you on the next. And Tim, appreciate it a lot, buddy.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.